Well, good morning. It's another chilly morning here this morning. It's about -10. Seems like a really good morning to talk about humidity in your chicken coop. There was a lady on one of the chicken Facebook pages this morning. Morning, Ben. And she was a little bit concerned that the humidity was really high in her chicken coop. Hey, the sheepy sheeps. Anyways, so let's talk about humidity in the coop. So firstly, you might recollect from, I think it was about a week ago, I mentioned in one of the videos that the prime humidity in your chicken coop during the winter months should be around 50%. Now, there's two reasons for this. 50% is a good number for balance. It's not too wet, not too dry. If it's too moist in your coop, it's going to lead to respiratory problems in your chickens. Chickens get sick. It's not good. If it's too dry, it gets dusty in there, creates, breathing problems again, but just different breathing problems. Again, not healthy for your coop. So you want to have good balance. Where you run into issues is a day like today. So here, right now, it's -10, but the outside humidity is 72%. So there's really no way that I'm ever going to lower the humidity in the chicken coop below that 72%. And that's fine. Don't sweat it. As long as you've got, a good dry layer of shavings in the bottom to soak up excess moisture, and you got good ventilation, that's pretty much as best as you can do with what you're given to work with. It is cold outside and the humidity's still high. The last thing you want to do is, crack every door and window in the place and try and dry it out by driving the wind through there. Because really all that's going to do is create a damp, windy environment, which is, yourself, if you're out in damp and the wind and stuff, you usually feel pretty yucky right away. So try and avoid that. So just coming from collecting eggs, and I noticed that the chickens had drank just about all of the water that I gave them this morning. And that's the other thing that comes into, when you're considering how to control humidity in your coop is where do you put the water? Do you put the water inside? You put the water outside? So here's one of the things where I'm going to preach what I don't practice. Perfect world, you should be able to just keep your water outside the coop, remove that entire source of humidity completely away from your birds and where they're housed, and it shouldn't be an issue. Unfortunately, we live where the air hurts our face, and so even, on some relatively mild days during the winter, it can still be cold enough to freeze even our heated electric waters up inside the basin. So you'll get this much of water, and then the whole top section will just be ice, and really it's no good. Anyways, so unfortunately we have to put the heated water inside the coop. It's one thing that's out of our control. We just have no control over the weather. But if you do live in those milder climates, more temperate climates, and you can remove that water out of the coop, or maybe you have a different style of heated water that is, works better in harsh cold climates, fantastic. Keep it outside. One of the reasons why you want to try and keep it outside is not only is it create humidity in there, but also if the chickens spill, then it gets on the bedding. You have to change the bedding, and it can create mold and mildew and all that kind of stuff. Right? What type of bedding you're using can also affect the humidity. If you're using straw and hay generally doesn't like to hang on to moisture quite the same way that like wood shavings or even dried clay might. Some people use sand even. We use the deep litter method, so we use pine shavings, and then they mix their manure with that, and you got to turn that regularly. So some folks say about a week. We do it about once a month, and that seems to be enough for us. But we've got about 8 to 10 inches of pine shavings and manure, and we just roll it over, like I said, on a monthly basis. The thing with chicken manure is when it's excreted is 85% moisture. So there's a ton of moisture there that you've got to get soaked up and get dried up. Otherwise, it's going to be a poopy mess, and it's not very healthy for your birds. One thing's for sure, regardless of the bedding type you're using, if it gets wet and there's manure and urine and stuff in there, it's going to release ammonia. And there's no amount of ventilation. You could have the windows and the doors wide open. That's not going to get rid of that ammonia. You've either got to treat it by adding wood shavings or clean that coop out. So if you're using deep litter like we're using, keep adding wood shavings to balance that out. If you're not, you're using straw or hay or hemp or even sand, get in there with a shovel and get it cleaned out, get that stuff into your compost pile, because it's magic, don't waste it, right? Anyways, I turned the kettle on right before I came in here, so I'm gonna head over and make a cup of tea. I got another big day tomorrow. Friday, gotta go to work. And then in the evening, day 3 of working on the in-laws chicken coop. Although I finished wiring it today, I did get quite bamboozled when it came to wiring in the sub panel off the main pole. And that's, yeah, anyways, working late, getting tired, head's not working. So let's come home, have a cup of tea, get some rest. We'll get back at it tomorrow with a fresh head. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.